I was left thinking, what in the hell have I just seen?
Both of them just lifted up at the same time, about this height.
Moving like I've never seen anything move before.
I won't sympathize.
Right in front of me. It was there.
Anymore. And I leave you complain once more. Only time
I never heard a sound.
I leave you complain once more. Only time I'm your queen. And leave you complain once more. Only time I'm your
Just lifted up at the same time, about this height. And I see what, oh, that was breathtaking watching that. And then it just gradually lifted up, and then went off towards the pines.
Oh, we are so not done with the witnesses. There are more, and it's important that we hear them. This is the same reason why Steven Spielberg, as he made Schindler's List, he felt it was important to record people who had lived through the Holocaust while they still could. It's the exact same logic here. These people are not going to be around forever, and it took them a long time before they talked about this. So it's kind of important that we listen to them and just soak in the ramifications of what this means.
Westall is one of the biggest, probably mass sightings in Australian history there when it comes to the UFO phenomena, and you, of all people, got to go and see this. Of like, what is it, like 200-300 people that got to see this thing?
Well, they say over the years, I would have said myself about 200 odd, yes.
Yep. That's still a lot of people. Like, you know, that's so many, like, different perspectives and, you know, and, I guess, like, because a lot of people are probably already very familiar with the whole encounter itself and how it all develops and how the governments handle it and whatnot's there. But, look, let's get your perspective on this thing, you know, because obviously, as I said, like, there's lots of different perspectives there. Like, let's hear about your experience and how you sort of evolved throughout the years on this. So if you don't mind, just run through with us, like, where this all started from, what, basically.
Okay. I was in Form 3. At the time, I was almost ready to leave school. I left school at the age of 15 at the end of the year. So, yeah, I was about 14 and a half when it happened in Form 3. We were out on the oval with, you know, quite a few other kids there, and we were doing PE, and I don't even really remember, I don't remember seeing anything move over. I just remember looking up and seeing 2 of the UFOs above us and one further over at the other end of the oval, near the big electric pylon that was built at the end of the oval, end of the school. And we were just absolutely mesmerised by what we were seeing. We, you know, I mean, we weren't little 5-year-olds. We were teenagers, and we just couldn't believe what we were looking at. They were hovering above us. It's hard to say how many meters up, but it wouldn't have been any more than, I'd say, 100 meters up in the sky from where we were standing. I don't recall a lot of noise. There was a very slight humming, but not a lot of noise, and I don't recall any lights on the objects. And as I said, we just couldn't believe what we were looking at. And it was obvious that they were just there to observe what us kids were doing on the oval. No fear, no nothing. We weren't scared. We were just absolutely astounded at what we were looking at. So yeah, it sort of started from there, and Mr. Greenwood came out. He was on the oval as well. I think he was a science teacher. And, of course, once one of the kids ran into the schoolroom and said to Mr. Greenwood, there's a UFO or flying saucers outside. Everyone just ran out onto the oval and joined us, just standing there mesmerised. So from memory, I think it would have been a good 5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes or so that we were standing there. And Mr. Greenwood at the time he was only a young teacher. He was only about 23 years old. And he was just as mesmerised and had no answers. We were saying, what is it, Mr. Greenwood? And he's saying, I don't know, you know. So yeah, after that it was, when they did decide to, take off through the air, they turned on their side, and no, we're talking 60 years ago, and even then, like the speed, like nothing at all on Earth even now. It was incredible. So they took off all in the one direction, and from what we could see, there was a place called the Grange where all of us kids used to play, set behind a big row of pine trees, quite away from the school. And I'd say it would probably have been a good half a kilometre over towards the pine tree where they went, and we watched them lower down, the three of them. And of course, by then, the headmaster, Mr. Sambleby, was saying, all of you kids, you know, an assembly, hurry up, get here quick. And of course, he'd been saying that for a few minutes, and we didn't even head off straight away. We just still were mesmerised with what we'd seen, and we were astounded. Anyway, we eventually went to the assembly, and there were already, in that short amount of time, there were men in dark suits and military uniform, all standing around on the platform where Mr. Sambleby usually did his morning addresses from. And they were standing around him, and once we all got there and were assembled, he said to us, to all of us kids, and this absolutely still astounds me. He said, you have seen nothing. You will not talk to anyone about this. No media, no one, ever. You have seen nothing. And I mean, we were 14 and a half, 15 years old. You can't tell us we saw nothing. So yeah, after that it was, get back to your class, la la la, and of course the whole day was just, the whole subject was, all day was just what we'd seen. And we'd already made up our minds. I lived in Fairbank Road where the school was situated. And, my neighbours and I had already decided come 3:30, we were out of there and we were going straight to the Grange, which is what we did. And, of course, we knew the place like the back of our hand. We used to play there all the time, and we knew the people that leased the area. They were horse owners, and they leased the Grange. So we were playing there all the time. They were our neighbours. They lived in our same street. And so we went to the Grange and past the pines, through the wire fence, and of course the grass in the Grange was absolutely knee high, like in some places up to a kid's almost to their waist. That's how high the grass was. And there we found 3 flattened areas, round areas, and the grass was absolutely flattened with singed around the edges. And in the midst of that, it was like 3, how do I explain this? It was like the grass had been turned the opposite way, like 3 circles. And yeah, so the actual dome, the platform had landed and the grass went one way, but these 3 domes, 3 circles that were left were the grass was turned the other way, like
Right.
3 circles. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, yes, we were there for quite a while and,
God, no, lost it. She's pushing the button.
Westall Secondary College is an Australian government co-educational school for students years 7 to 12 in Melbourne's southeast and is home to over 550 students. While the school has gone through some significant renovations and development over the years, there are still a number of structural elements that remain unchanged from 1966, including the signature power pylon at the southwestern corner of the school, the school sports oval, as well as some of the original buildings that housed and continue to house classrooms. Let's turn back the clock and see what the school and its surroundings looked like from an aerial view back in 1966. Here is Westall High School, the Market Gardens, the wooded area known as the Grange, and adjoining to its south, Spring Valley Golf Club. So what happened on that morning of the 6th of April 1966? Look no further than this brief recreation as it pertains to some of the witnesses you'll hear from shortly.
Westall High School, Wednesday the 6th of April 1966. What starts out as an ordinary second last day of term quickly transforms into an extraordinary event, leaving an indelible mark on the lives and young impressionable minds of many forever. At approximately 10:15 a.m., while participating in their morning PE class, a number of students are left dazed and confused at the sight of a strange object hovering in the sky over the southern end of the school. Its shape, that of a classic flying saucer. Moments later, a science class filled with students attent of their teacher's lesson is interrupted unexpectedly with a stunning revelation.
Mr. Greenwood, there's a flying saucer.
A chaotic commotion quickly ensues. The ringing of the school recess bell at 10:20 a.m. leads to a mass exodus of unruly students onto the sports oval outside. There, several hundred students are left in shock and awe as the flying saucer finds their gaze. Some students remain calm and curious. Most do not. The flying saucer motions towards the signature power pylon at the southwestern corner of the school and emits a low-level hum as it hovers above it. Students continue to watch on in both shock and awe as the flying saucer exhibits flight characteristics that defy the known laws of physics. With no visible signs of propulsion, the flying saucer suddenly takes off at a high rate of speed. A small number of fearless students race towards the school's boundary fence in pursuit of the craft, as it moves in a southerly approach to a densely populated wooded area known as the Grange, a location known only too well by school students thanks to their grueling cross-country runs. Moments later, a worker going about his morning rounds of harvesting carrots in the adjacent market garden is confronted by the unknown object. It hovers effortlessly above the tree line and emits no sound. The flying saucer begins to disappear from the market gardener's line of sight as it descends in an arc towards the southeastern corner of the Grange. At the adjoining 8th hole of the Spring Valley Golf Club, a number of golfers going about their morning round are left flummoxed and speechless at the sight of the flying object as it dips beneath several trees that line the edge of the fairway. Suddenly, a high school girl that gave lead chase towards the Grange discovers the flying saucer on the ground, or hovering just above it. Just as soon as she begins her cautious approach, the flying saucer instantaneously accelerates to the sky above. It's gone. All that remains of its presence, a perfectly symmetrical imprint in the flattened grass.
Marilyn Smith, then Marilyn Eastwood, aged 13, was standing on the school sports oval on the morning of the 6th of April 1966 when she first observed the flying saucer.
Basically, kids were screaming and so forth, get out into the oval, and there was flying saucers. Looked up in the air, and there was one just hovering in the playground.
So there's more than
There was
one?
more than one. There was 3.
Right.
Yeah.
And how far is the school from here?
From here, just a couple of blocks over. Yeah. So it's not that far.
Right. And do you recall, did you run to the Grange or did you just...
We did at lunchtime.
Yep.
During our break. We left. We weren't supposed to, but yes, kids being kids.
Yeah.
And we all came over here, and what I saw was where it had actually landed.
Right.
So all the grass was flattened in a circular, area.
And has that area since been
It was all
covered
market
over
gardens.
with... Right, okay.
And that was over in that area over there, behind us.
Would you know where the location is if you had to try and track it down?
Oh yeah, we've sort of been down that road.
Yeah,
many
right,
times,
okay.
Yeah. So
And
yeah.
was it your impression that something had landed there?
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
And of course, when we got back to school, we all got detention and got the trouble and so on and so on.
Told you not to talk about
Yeah,
it.
but the speed that this flying saucer or these flying saucers moved, that was incredible. It was just unbelievable. It just didn't, sort of fly.
How
up,
would you
it just
describe the movement? Yeah, right. So
just
zip.
straight up and gone.
Okay.
Yeah, vertical, horizontal,
And then turned and...
incredible.
Right.
Yeah, just amazing.
And this was at around about recess time in the morning that it happened?
Yeah.
10 in the morning?
Yeah, just before recess, because we had a student that came into our classroom hysterical, leaning up against the door saying, "Oh, I saw there's a flying saucer in the backyard," which is what we called them in those days. And everybody got up to run out. The teacher said, "Sit down, it's not recess." And then the bell went off and she had no control. So we all everybody ran outside into the oval. And at the recess point, my friend and I were sitting on the fence and we were crying, thinking it was the end of the world, because it was seriously scary.
And how long would you say it would have taken you to get from the school to this area here? Was it...
20 minutes.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did they seem to move... from the reports I've heard that they hovered over the school
That's
and then
correct.
moved in this area.
Yes, they did. They seemed to rise and disappear.
Yep.
And that went on for, a certain period of time. And that was why, because they were heading over towards this area, that's why we came over here. And there were several groups of kids.
Yeah.
I was with one group and there were several others as well. So everybody has their own, story on what they saw, what they experienced, how they felt. So...
And do you happen to recall how quickly after the event happened that there were reports of military or people of the Air Force or police
No,
that
we didn't
arrived
hear
on scene?
about that until because it was the last day of school before the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of surfaced in the weeks after.
Yep.
I never saw any military,
Okay.
but some of my schoolmates did.
Yeah.
So I can only say what I saw.
What you experienced. And were yourself and children instructed not to talk about it?
Oh, yes, the headmaster, yes. That afternoon, Channel 9 arrived at the school, around about home time, and there were several of us that were interviewed by Channel 9.
Yep.
And we got detention for that.
Yeah,
They
right.
were asked to leave.
Okay.
That footage has disappeared. Never been found.
Yeah, I remember reading on one of the Facebook groups, Shane Ryan said that it did air that evening, but then since then the footage has been...
That's right, which is really sad because...
has vanished or been destroyed or what have
because
you.
as I was saying to one of the gentlemen before about the movie The Phenomenon, and that group of African children that actually were filmed at that particular time of the sighting that they had, and 30 years later they were re-interviewed and they recalled everything exactly as they'd said.
Yeah, gotcha.
But we can't do that because of footage that was taken of us.
Yeah, yeah.
I was also interviewed by Kevin Arnett a few years later, around about 1977. He came to our house in Clayton and interviewed me then, but he's since died and that footage is also...
It's also gone. Wow.
So it's very scary, as in, they're sort of keeping it hush-hush.
Sort of stopped dead, and stopped dead in the air, and then it just sort of started descending straight down. And I'd say it got down about halfway up that gum tree or above the goalpost and sat there for a while, and then it just sort of lifted straight up and then just took straight off.
This thing went down behind the trees, then it came up. It was like it had become aware of these planes coming in and it just went woof and just left them like they were standing still.
I remember the assembly that we're all called for.
We weren't even allowed to talk about it in school. We weren't allowed to mention it at all.
There's like 20 people plus in the room at the moment, and there's a real buzz, and everyone's talking about my story. They're talking about the story. And as they're talking it through, they're putting the pieces together. It's wonderful.
All I knew was what I saw, and it definitely was not any aircraft of the day by any stretch of the imagination, and it certainly was not a weather balloon.
It still would take me to my grave. What the hell was that?
It was amazing, and it's something that I've never forgotten. But you just sort of had it stored in the back of your mind because a lot of people are sceptical.
The fact that they can travel so fast and that they've been spotted all over the world, landings and very similar stories of these patches of flattened grass or burnt grass. I personally believe that there is something going on somewhere else.
Hi everybody. I wasn't with the Westall.
We are us. Join the flying monkeys.